and it's just trying to act like a river in the middle of Times Square.
To be a river in the middle of Times Square. Lore Boys here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lore Boys, where we discuss lore and our boys. I'm your host, Ethan Palmer. With me is Peter O'Donohue.
Hi, Peter O'Donohue. Also lore, also boys.
And James Miller.
Hello, guys. Hi. I think I'm both of those too. Yeah.
Yep, lore and boy. Perfect. Cool. Checks out. We've completed the CAPTCHA for today's episode. We're ready to start.
The inspector behind Ethan can tick that box off on her clipboard. Just like chick to the lore boys, good. And then it's like the health inspector, where it's just like, but they didn't clean the grease trap, so that's gonna dock point on that one.
I'm wearing my no slip shoes. This episode is a part 2, so if you're just tuning into the Lore Boys for the first time or some other. This episode would make more sense if you check out the links in the description, which will take you to our original Kamigawa episode where we talk about the Kami War. Kamigawa is what do you guys remember about Kamigawa?
I know you had mentioned it, but I will toot my own horn here. Definitely top 10 title cards that I've done for the Kamigawa one. Because we had a solid bit running the entire time. So it was easy to develop, but it is an ancient Japanese-themed Magic the Gathering setting, where there was an emperor who went into the plains or something to steal the tears of a dragon or the heart to make himself immortal, and then demons came through to try and steal it back, and then so did the serpent god. There's a bunch of different dragons representing the different elements. Then they all had thematic names, which I don't remember whatsoever, but they're all very cool.
I would have been amazed if you remembered Yosai the Morning Star. You know what I mean?
I knew they were all. I knew they were all some nonsense blank star.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I couldn't remember the title. I was just like, for me it was like River or something.
I don't even know if I could remember. I wrote this script today and I mentioned them all by name. I remember Jukin, Ryusei, and Yosai. Can't remember the water one. What about
the fractally one that was in that dome?
That's the heart.
Yeah, that's Kyodai, who was the heart of Okagachi. But Peter nailed it. 10 out of 10.
Very
good. Great recap. So
Teletubbies were there too. So
yeah, Teletubbies were there, exactly.
I was gonna say, Kamigawa, Lore Boys got the power, and then that was gonna be my whole thing. But I think Pete did pretty good too. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Pete's would have been better if he'd let you get a word in edgewise. Whatever. Now all we know is regret going into the start of this one. So
right.
As the recap, a lot of what Peter said. It's dynastic warrior samurai powerful spirits called kami, who are based on real Japanese myth, and oni, who are demons of Japanese myth. As I mentioned, we're going to cover roughly 1,200 years of history between the end of the last episode leading right up to Neon Dynasty. For anyone who had their hopes up, we're not actually going to get quite into Neon Dynasty today. I would love to do an episode focusing on some of the stories of that time specifically, that Cyberpunk future, but we're gonna bridge the gap before we jump into it.
1,200 years in 1 hour? Take that, Dan Carlin.
Yeah, dude. It takes 4 hours to cover a
an
year
afternoon
of
in
World War
Genghis Khan's life. And here at 4:30 in the afternoon, he got onto feasting and raping once again.
Yeah. So I guess as my quick recap, the war began when, like Pete said, the de facto leader of the largest of Kamigawa's kingdom, Lord Takeshi Konda, stole a piece of the greatest kami's very essence, known as Kyodai, or that which was taken. The war ended with Takeshi's daughter Michiko merging with Kyodai to become the guardian of the two worlds, the material and spirit. Together, they destroyed the rogue father of Kyodai, Okagachi, and sentenced Lord Konda to an eternity of suffering as 1,000,000 pieces of sentient stone.
Right. Yeah. That was hardcore.
Yeah. And then peace and prosperity reign forevermore in Kamigawa, right?
Of course, yeah.
That's how we can get through 1,200 years so fast.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the episode. Well, it's been great.
Nothing of consequence ever occurred again.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what it would be like to be a million little pieces of stone. Like, pieces of you would be, like, washed down a river in sand. Like, pieces of you would be, like, stuck onto the side of a cliff. It might be kind of cool. It doesn't sound that bad.
It could be pretty zen eventually, considering you'd end up, like, parts of you would be, like, under the sediment of a river, or, like, maybe in the bottom of a glacier, and you get to move 4.5 inches every 80 years or something.
I mean, you'd gradually be, like, broken down into more and more pieces, right? Like, as erosion occurs, those rocks would eventually rub down to nubs and wash down to nubs, so... Like, eventually, like, I've heard this statistic before, and I have no idea how true it is, that, like, every breath you take, you breathe at least one molecule that was breathed by Napoleon Bonaparte. Just, like, the kind of, like, law of numbers. Like, they're so small, and there's so many that it's likely that one of them was within him at some point.
Not any other human, just him. He breathed
just Napoleon,
lot.
Yeah. He breathed a lot. He breathed a lot.
Yeah.
Spiders, Napoleon. Yeah.
It sounds like another fucking Dan Carlin fact. Yeah, or like maybe you end up like as a perfectly smooth river rock that gets swallowed by a bird to grind up its food in its belly.
Mm-hmm.
Birds do that?
Some birds.
Some do.
All right, take off that.
You ain't never swallowed a stone, so you didn't have to chew no more? Come on, dude. What are you doing? Wasting all your time chewing.
I've only seen one bird with teeth, and It's Always Sunny, and I think they made that one.
Imagine going out to a nice place with someone for like a glass of whiskey, and you just like swallow the stones in front of them.
There you go. Breadsticks and then a basket of river rocks are complimentary. With every table.
You go out for a drink, you swallow your whiskey stones, then you ask them if they're going to finish theirs.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't chew my lunch. I really need these.
It's a joke to die for. So yeah, peace and prosperity didn't quite reign in Kamigawa at the end of the Kami War when Michiko and Kyodai defeated their fathers, essentially, to bring peace and prosperity to the region. So for the common person in Kamigawa, those, who are out tilling the fields, weaving the cloth in the textile factories, or, the soldiers in the Lord's armies, most of them never really found out about Lord Konda's crime, right? That he stole the heart of the most ancient kami, the barrier between the very worlds. So to most people, there wasn't really any telling why the kami decided to suddenly invade their realms and conduct wholesale slaughter. All that they saw was that their lord was doing everything he could, sending his armies to different lands to protect them, and sacrificing his men in the fight against these kami to protect the people is kind of what they saw, kind of what the lay person saw. What mainstream media would have you believe. So all the king's horses and all the king's men may have shattered Humpty Dumpty behind the scenes, but to everyone watching, they were just trying to put him back together.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Yeah. You've always got the emperor's press secretary coming out on TV to walk back every single thing he said at 3 hours later.
Mr. I know he said that he went out there and pushed Mr. Dumpty off the wall, but truth be told, he didn't have anything to do with it. Sure, in the heat of the moment, taken out of context, might seem like he wanted him dead, but that's not the case. So now that Takeshi Kondo was gone, sentenced to being rebel for eternity, like we said, people saw his daughter working closely with Kyodai, the child of Okagachi, the great serpent who killed thousands of humans during the war. Right. And we're kind of like, well, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Aren't you kind of working with the enemy? And now you're like, you've replaced him. He got killed. Maybe some people knew she did it, doubt it. Maybe plenty of people thought she did it. And now she's working with these spirits that have been terrorizing them for decades at this point, right?
Right.
So in light of this, Kyodai and Michiko agreed the world should know of her father's crime. She's like, I'm gonna put him on blast. You know what I mean? Together, they revealed the truth of things, how Takeshi had stolen the heart of Okagachi, which had led to the war in the first.
Oh.
And now, peace and prosperity reign forevermore in Kamigawa. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Still not really. The rest of Michiko's life would be spent trying to undo the damage of her father, though it would forever remain a struggle for her. She never quite got to a point where people were chill. People had no chill, I guess.
Okay, yeah. The expose she did with Ronan Farrow didn't pan out and fix everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dang.
She really got dinged when she was making fun of Greta Thunberg, right? So.
Oh yeah.
So, knowing the truth of Takeshi's transgressions, there were many who felt she was unfit to rule simply because she was his daughter. They're like, she's like, hey, it's things are good. I'm here to help. The last guy, he went into the spirit world and stole the heart of a god, and that's what caused the war, okay? But I'm here, I'm working with that heart, and I'm here to make it better. And everybody was like, aren't you his daughter?
Yeah.
And, okay, so she did sentence him. She literally sentenced him to an eternal punishment as a pile of feeling debris. But I guess people were still pretty angry about all the lies.
It could have been part of her plan, And she had all those carrier pigeons that she didn't tell everyone about, the secret carrier pigeons. And she's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fire carrier pigeons.
Yeah. Encrypted carrier pigeons on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah.
So on top of that, so we've got the one camp. We've got the liberals who are like, hey, you're not fit to rule because your father was the one who did this to us. And then we have the conservatives who are like, no, you're just making this up. We still believe the thing that we believed before. We refuse to ever change our viewpoint. You were corrupted by the Kami. You're a puppet to the sinister shadow cabal that is made up of, checks notes, the gods and spirits of the natural world, I guess. So...
you got a pile of rubble in a pizza shop basement. It's like, her dad's down there, man. I swear to God.
So I'm going to share the first artwork for today's episode with you guys. So, Pete, I want you to tell me as quick as you can the first thing you noticed about the image.
Okay, because Jamie really knocked it out of the park last week.
One thing, one specific detail, which I'm curious if you'll pick up on.
I don't know. It's like there is just a big thumb.
No, so it's very tall. It's tall and thin, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the lore from this episode comes from this type of card called sagas. They were introduced in the Dominaria block. I want to say the recent Return to Dominaria block, which we did an episode around Dominaria around the time when that block came out. So how sagas work? They're enchantments that you basically play, you put it onto the battlefield, then every turn it grows as it kind of tells the story. So if the enemy can destroy the enchantment, if your opponent can destroy your enchantment before your saga is complete, it won't do everything that it was set out to do.
As the fan's opening, it's telling the whole story. It looks like each blade of the fan paints the picture behind it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fan that's basically showing Michiko as Empress during this time or whatever, as she's kind of leading the world out of its ignorance. But you'll notice there's I think just two pictures that I'm actually going to share with you guys that come from this type of card called these sagas. But basically they're supposed to tell the story through the in-game actions that the card does, which is kind of an interesting mechanic that was introduced a little while ago. So this one's called Michiko's Reign of Truth. So anyone listening at home, you guys want to see the art that we're talking about, it's by Vulcan Baga. The card is called Michiko's Reign.
Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed that because pictures from Wikipedia or from a fan wiki are always so kind of obtuse and randomly shaped. The actual the fact that it looks like an eye, like a phone wallpaper, opposed to a square on a magic card wouldn't have jumped out. I just remember it's just it's a hand with a big thumb, and I thought there was going to be the guy holding this fan is.
I did set you up to fail. I thought maybe on the off chance you would be like, why is the resolution like this? But I did kind of set you up to fail and be like, look outside the picture to find what I'm talking about,
Yeah. It's funny that you said normally pictures from a fan wiki, and there's literally a picture
and there's a fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're less punny than I thought you were being.
I did get this one on fans.fandom.com. So.
Okay.
So despite the trials and tribulations, Michiko would eventually usher in an age of progress upon Kamigawa, as both people and Kami worked to repair the world. Michiko had wanted to lead as a spiritual advisor more than as a traditional leader, and had refused the title of emperor in her lifetime. But she was awarded the title posthumously as the first emperor of a new Kamigawa. So she didn't want to be seen as an emperor. And she passed away. And people were like, she was the emperor. New emperor is her kid. Basically right away. Okay. Kyodai, for what it's worth, is very enigmatic throughout the story that I'm going to tell today. Feels like that which was taken, whom Michiko had worked so closely with to kind of build this peace and foster this peace, is surprisingly absent. I'm going to say Lore Boys canon, Kyodai is dealing with a lot of kami bullshit, right? Not, again, this came up a lot last time, not kami bullshit, but kami bullshit.
K-A-M-I.
Yeah, exactly. He's dealing with a lot of like the spiritual, the angry spirits and things like that, kind of calming them. There will be, I think, just one bit of Lore Boys canon where we talk about where Kyodai might be.
Okay.
So now, finally, peace and prosperity would reign on Kamigawa for a little while, at least.
Like weeks or decades?
A couple generations. So,
shit! Okay, that's not so bad.
It is good. Michiko's descendants worked with the great kami Kyodai to uphold peace and prosperity for future generations. But as time passed and the deeds of the past gradually forgotten by short-lived humans, the lessons learned were also eventually forgotten. So this is kind of a recurring theme where the kami didn't necessarily forget, their anger at the war and everything, but they did kind of move on from it and kind of remember the lessons that they learned there. Whereas humans who die and, just breed further humans, or who live on through their children rather than living on through their living on, obviously forget the mistakes of the past and repeat them all over again. Which,
kami can't die, right?
No, exactly. They typically just get reborn.
Oh yeah, but the stronger they are, like the longer their respawn is, or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
right.
And it gets a little interesting a little bit later with some kami that we're going to talk about who didn't seem like they were going to respawn, but we'll cover that in a little bit. So it all came to a head, all this human bullshit, when one of Michiko's descendants, the emperor at the time, because we are doing like a hegemony here where it's just passed on from emperor to child, emperor to child, emperor to child.
Okay.
One of Michiko's descendants passes away suddenly without an heir. So now, the best laid plans of mice and men, kami, gone astray. The question of succession was one to fight over, as some sided with her brother, while others sided with her husband. So she's married and has a brother. It's the worst of all worlds, and no child, basically. Okay. Aiganjo, the castle where the Kondas reign from, devolves into war. And from the castle, it infected the realm entirely, spreading to the most distant reaches of the world. The world was still weakened from the losses sustained in the war. People were still desperate. There was still kind of like petty warlords who were harboring grudges for losing whatever. And, just opportunists who saw the opportunity when Aiganjo devolved into war to kind of make their own claim on the world. So we've regressed to this, dynastic feudal world where people are kind of always sparring with each other, and this all-out war over who should be emperor taking place in the castle.
This is like a classic schism when it's just like, okay, yeah, peace and prosperity, guys. Remember to have a son or a daughter, or who cares what that rule is, but just get pregnant, okay? It's like, will do, says before having an aneurysm and dropping dead out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Just like as soon as you can, just have a kid. Doesn't matter who it's with, so that you can raise them right and they can be emperor. Cool.
Yeah.
This is Big Kyodai. That which was taken, and that which is about to be taken, his lunch break. So I'm going to be in the break room. Okay. Don't die while I'm gone. I'm just kidding, but I'm kind of serious. I'm just don't die while I'm gone.
You only got one shot at this. Like we learned that the hard way. Trusting you guys to remember things through death, you don't. So just pay attention right now, okay?
So the dragon kami, who had once protected Kamigawa's mortal inhabitants, had all been lost, but for one during the war. Peter mentioned these dragons, each one kind of aspected to a plane. There was a white, a blue, a black, green, red, and a green. So Yosai, the Morning Star, was destroyed by Okagachi trying to defend Aiganjo Tower. Also, Jugen and Kaiga, the blue and the green, both fell during the war, off camera, I guess. Or off camera for us is all you guys need to know anyway.
Yeah, Jugen died on his way to his home planet, basically.
Kokusho, the Evening Star, the black aspected dragon, actually died in the intervening year. between the Kami War and kind of where we are today with the War of Succession raging, but not too much before. So he died defending the swamps that he called home from an invasion of Oni, or demons. In the chaos of the Kami War, many Oni who were once imprisoned within the Sozenkin Mountains were released by ogres who lived there, merely to spread further death and destruction amongst the humans. We didn't talk too much about the Okagachi, the ogres of this plane, but they are just kind of these agents of chaos who live in the mountains and were once a very powerful faction who has now kind of taken the sidelines to humans. So in the war, they were their own opportunists. They saw their opportunity and they kind of released a bunch of demons to go mess with humans as well. Seems like a lot of them are still running rampant. And they did seem to be dealt with at the end of the war. And this was kind of something that I was researching a bit. And seemed to be a bit of like, oh, it's the demons from during the Kami War. But then there's also something we're going to talk about a bit later, which may have caused the demons to show up. So which it was, I'm not sure. But for right now, what we need to know is a bunch of demons showed up at some point after the Kami War and killed Kokusho.
And Kokusho he was defending the swamp. He died in a swamp.
Yeah.
I would suck to die in a swamp.
Yeah, well, don't piss off Shrek.
Yeah. I got ogre territory, baby.
Yeah. I remember having a dream when I was like pretty young that I was playing in the backyard of like my grandma's place and I like tripped into a puddle and I was like drowning in the mud or whatever and I couldn't quite yell out to my just out of reach parents kind of thing. And then I woke up and I just had 2 pillows stuffed in my face.
I was gonna say, yeah. Were you face down?
I was face down, yeah.
I've had the same thing, that exact same thing where I woke up from a dream with my face down in a pillow, but it was a nuclear blast that hit me in the face. I guess as I rolled over or something. I don't know.
Oh wow.
That's how my brain. But in real life, when I was, I don't know, maybe like 13, 14, something like that, I was at a friend's cottage and he had there's a lake outside his cottage and there was this like, it was like a very mucky, where you like step in and you go up like halfway up your calf in just like muck or whatever. We were kids and I've never been squeamish about that kind of stuff. So we had a lot of fun in there. And like one day we're on the other side of the lake and his mom had like an old air raid siren that she used to call us in for like lunch and dinner with, which was very cool. So he's like, okay, he's like jumps into the water and starts swimming across the lake. I didn't feel like swimming across the lake, so I start running across. But I'm like, I'm going to cut across the bay. I step into the bay. I, no joke, sank in mud up to my nipples with just like 2 feet of water above my head, and had a real ass moment of panic there, where I was just like, oh shit, I have no leverage. Managed to get myself out. Obviously,
Holy fuck.
Had a real brief second where I was like, am I gonna die? And then was fine.
Whoa. One time I had last dream, really quick, I had a dream of I was in like a house that I thought was like, it was made out of stone, that it felt like it was in like Greece or something. It was with my mom and my brother, and we looked outside in the night sky and there was like flying saucers, and then I was like running on this like grassy hill and I fell and I felt the saucer go over my head and the warmth of the engine like felt on my back, and then I woke up and I was like in the summer, like in my room or whatever, and my back was still a little bit warm, and I'm like, oh my god, I just got abducted. But it was
his brother pissed on his back while he was sleeping.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was going to be a peed myself story or it was early morning and the sun was beating through the window and that was like the residual warmth.
No.
I had a very weird dream this weekend, but I won't get into it.
Okay, we'll save that.
So yeah, all to say, 4 of the 5 dragons died, either in the war or in the years since. Only Ryusai, the falling star, the red dragon, would remain relatively unscathed throughout the age. So, with the realm's strongest protectors gone, the civil war amongst the humans wasn't the only concern. Those Oni who had killed Kokusho are still kind of a problem in the swamps and are still kind of spreading around destruction. This time in history is known as the Shattered States era. And it is, again, a saga card. Shattered States.
Okay.
So it wasn't clear precisely, like I kind of said before, what Kyodai was doing during this time. Here's our Lore Boys canon, is that Kyodai, perhaps realizing that it was typical human bullshit to be killing each other, just willy-nilly wholesale, Kyodai decides to rush off to deal with the demon threat. As spirits themselves, the Oni are linked to the Kami in many ways, after all. Seems like they're not Kami, like they're not spirits in the same sense, demons, because we talked about last time the all-devouring demon of Oni of Chaos was essentially what the Okagashi was, where it was he was the barrier between the material world and the demon world. That said, I also can't find anything about the demon world or the fact that it's real or anything like that. So
for Oni, like I know in anime they go like they say Oni-chan, which means older brother. Does Oni just mean older? I wonder. Like,
so it's spelled differently. Okay. I know, like Oni-chan, I think has 2 eyes when spelled in English.
Okay,
and it's probably like pronounced differently in actual Japanese, and then like when we romanticize it, it ends up like similarly sounding. But Oni in Japan as a demon is like you've seen it before. It's like the smiling demon with like the horns.
Yeah,
you know, the white mask with like the horns on it and the tusks or whatever. Those are Oni masks.
I think Japanese goblin is an emote in Discord, and it might be close to what the Oni is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Japanese goblin.
You know, the pale white skin and the tusks, just like your older brother.
Yeah, that looks like the Japanese ogre looks a lot like a.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kyodai, we're gonna say Lore Boys Canon goes off to deal with the Oni in the forest, and that's why they're not sticking around in the human capital at Aiganjo.
Okay.
This left the human war to rage unabated for some time, though while people were taking the side of the husband or the brother, there were those who saw that both sides were flawed and sought to just, eliminate them both. We don't need either. Republicans, Democrats, both bad. So thank God, libertarians to the rescue. No, there was a clan who had served in the Konda military for generations, had earned a reputation of untarnished honor in their service. They were known for having an unwavering duty to the betterment of all citizens. So a real clan Superman.
Death, which means death of everyone around them is the betterment of all citizens.
No, death of the 2 guys fucking this up for everyone.
Okay.
The only people that he wanted to kill. So it was a young Yamazaki soldier. Yamazaki is the clan specifically that we're talking about who served the Konda family for a long time, who realized 2 men sending wave after wave of citizens against each other was maybe not in the best interest of the people. Jamie. The young Yamazaki took it upon himself to challenge imperial decree and end the bloody contest. He assassinated successfully the late emperor's husband, but when he went for the brother, he found the target all too ready for his attack. Armed and waiting in the throne room, it would be a difficult fight for Yamazaki to win. It seems like he has unwittingly played into the hands of the brother, taken out his rival, who's now like waiting in the throne room, Kyodai's bedroom basically, while Kyodai is off doing something else with presumably all his guards, and he's fully kitted out in armor. I actually meant to save this picture as well, but didn't. I saved a picture of the sword. You guys can see the battle between the emperor and the emperor's brother, who's the white figure. Nameless Conqueror is the backside of this card, the transform side of this card, and the one in red is presumably the faceless Yamazaki soldier who was sent to take him out.
Cool. That's very cool. Okay, so he's just like a G-man basically for working for this other clan. So he's like no name, no face, nothing, just no identity, just sent in to eliminate.
Yeah, I tried really hard to find a name for this person, this Yamazaki, because the Yamazaki, there are canon Yamazakis in the 2 Kamigawa sets. So in the first Kamigawa set, there's these cards known as the Yamazaki, brothers. And they have like a rule. So when you have a legendary card, if you usually have a card with a name, like if you play Kokusho, the Evening Star, you can't play 2 because there's something called the legendary rule. And if the card says legendary in its type, you can't have 2 cards of the same name. Yeah, exactly. You can't have 2 cards of the same name. So the Yamazaki brothers, basically you can have up to 4 cards in a deck, and they have a card text which says if there's already a Yamazaki brothers on the battlefield, the legendary rule doesn't apply. So you can play, I think, up to 4 of them. Maybe it was just 2 of them. But you can play like more of them, and just like the legendary rule doesn't apply. And then in Neon Dynasty, so again, this lore is from the Neon Dynasty expansion, and they're just backfilling the space between, basically. So in modern day, there are figures called Yamazaki, and we'll probably talk about a few of them whenever I do a proper Neon Dynasty episode.
Okay, cool.
But for this young lad, potentially, changed the fate of the world. In some ways, definitely saved it. No name. Might as well be a horse that you ride through the desert on.
Okay. No, 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 no.
So while the faceless, nameless Yamazaki was getting his work done, the Kyodai had reached Jukai Forest, where the Oni were becoming a bigger and bigger threat. So they'd kind of taken over the swamp at this point, and now we're like, dude, keep getting our feet wet, hate this, let's go to the dry forest, and are kind of creeping into the dry forest.
Okay.
So the Oni threat was pouring like a tide over the sea of trees, and this event came to be known as the Night of Withering.
Ugh.
Perhaps in desperation, the Orochi, who we talked about a bit last time, the snake folk.
Snake, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
He's also
yeah.
the For Honor character with the really fast attacks that cheeses you. I remember that a lot. Yeah.
So the snake folk live in the woods. They devise a plan. Lore Boys canon still is that they did this with Kyodai's help, because, again, I couldn't figure out what Kyodai would be doing at this time, and it seems like they could have used Kyodai's help in this, right? So the Orochi plan succeeded. They were able to resurrect Jugan, the Rising Star, to help defend them. So cool. Their protector dragon who had died during the Kami War, they managed to resurrect him. That's why I'm like, we'll say it was with Kyodai's help, because, again, Kami don't seem to die. The dragons are Kami. They seem to just go to the spirit realm where they have to remanifest for a long time.
Yeah, they just fast-tracked it. Basically, like, fast-tracked a reincarnation ticket through Ghost IT or some shit.
Exactly. And, I haven't done that much reading on Neon Dynasty, but in theory, Okagachi also just building up steam, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know how long it would have taken the dragons to respawn, if they would have respawned at all. They almost certainly would not have respawned in the same way, where they were pretty intrinsically tied to Utsuchiyo, which is the material plane rather than the spirit plane, because they spent all their time here rather than there, right?
Man, if ghosts if ghosts did IT and they had the perspective of living forever, imagine how long your tickets would take to get done. They already take long, and we have like a finite amount of time to live, right? Like,
yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
Jamie, I just talked to IT today. Actually, my laptop battery's dead, and now that I'm back at the office, I have to like unplug it to take it to the theater that's at the studio. Yeah. And it's just like I'm in there leaning a pad of paper at the screen as though I'm like writing like war letters by candlelight. And like at some point, the executive producer for the movie came and he's like, "Pete, why don't you bring your laptop?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I can unplug it." He's just like, "That is unacceptable. I will contact IT." I was like, "Thanks, man," because I tried. You could never get anything fucking done.
You guys are doing a lot of IT bashing when I feel like a significant demographic of people who listen to lore podcasts are IT professionals. So I'm going to say that I spent all day troubleshooting, because I've had this problem with my VPN connection, like our work VPN.
Yeah.
Where like only when I'm connected to the VPN, my internet super slowly dies. Where like I was in a global meeting with Jamie today, and I was troubleshooting at the same time with this tech, because this is something that's been happening for a few weeks now. I was in the meeting and I'm troubleshooting, so I connect my Global Protect. The meeting, the audio, the video never stutters, don't drop a frame, everything's fine. But like I can't load Google, I can't send Teams messages. Like just like random parts of my computer stop working, I guess.
I've had this problem with MS Teams recently as well.
It's not just Teams. It's like Google too.
While we're IT bashing,
I'm saying thankfully these IT guys were going through this with me.
I'm just saying we're the three of us united against IT.
But not me. I'm on the side of IT.
Put that one up there. Is the longer a meeting goes on. I'm getting a new computer tomorrow, thankfully. But the longer a meeting goes on, the shittier the connection gets, and my laptop starts to take off. Like just by streaming a meeting with like 6 people in it, and it's just like hey, we got like 8 minutes before this thing dies, dude.
The harder my graphics card needs to work, the less my internet works. Don't know why.
That's also very funny and weird. Yeah,
yeah, that's just how it works. Okay,
that's your personal computer, but I'll blame IT for that as well.
Yeah, well, they haven't fixed it yet, so.
And I'll thank IT for sabotaging Jamie's computer on my behalf. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll thank IT for assassinating my rival emperor or whatever.
So we're saying, Lore Boys canon, Kyodai helped. The Orochi, the snake people of Jukai Forest, resurrect Jugen, the Rising Star, to help defend them from the Oni threat, the demon threat, coming out of this one.
Good.
Kyodai, work is done here. Brought a dragon back from the Nether Realms. I'm off back to Eiganjo Castle. My lunch break is over. Got to see what those crazy kids are getting up to. Just in time to see the Emperor's brother squaring off with the young Yamazaki warrior.
Okay.
Finally fed up with it all, Kyodai issued a decree. The Konda family would no longer serve as hereditary rulers of Kamigawa, as they'd pretty clearly lost the plot at this point. They would become ordinary citizens, and free and fair elections would take place instead. Almost.
It's not often that like a deposed emperor or like a deposed royal family is just like, you go get a day job now, instead of just being executed and devoured by the peasants.
So I say almost free and fair elections. The truth is, Kyodai decreed that the Kami would elect new rulers for their noble qualities and commitment to the nation. So we now have the CIA imposing a new leader in their place, and basically say the old leader is going to disappear to Argentina for a while.
Oh yeah, no, the president moved to a farm out in the country. He's fine.
No, we can't go visit him. So such was the birth of the class known as the Imperials, those chosen by Kyodai to lead Kamigawa. The moment of confrontation between the would-be emperor and the brave young soldier, willing to defy orders in the name of peace, is depicted on the hilt of a sword, the image that I've shown the boys here. The card art is the Shattered States era. Like I said, the art is by David Gayet. Meanwhile, across the plains, over the river, into the woods, if you'll remember, a dragon was squaring off at grandmother's house with a tide of demons.
Right.
More on that after the break.
Live.
Okay, was that 3 claps and then you're going to do 2 claps, then 1 clap? Like, were you doing 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, I don't know how to clap you in, to be honest. I just did 3 claps and then I rushed to click and it really felt off timing, to be honest.
Well,
Morse code there.
Jamie just clapped "We're live" to me in Morse code, so welcome back.
3 slow claps is O, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I assumed meant, oh, by the way, we're back from break and now live.
Yeah.
So
I only know SOS. Those are like the 3 letters I know, just in case I'm ever stuck in a submarine and trying to get someone's attention. But
it's 2 letters if you think about it.
Yeah, you're right. I used the same letter twice.
Did you guys know that SOS was a backronym? Where it was originally chosen as SOS just because how easy it was to remember.
Do you guys know it?
So simple, a Jamie could remember it.
Do you guys know it? It's 3 quick, 3 slow, 3 quick.
Yeah. They're not coming through. We'll never.
Not picking up on the mic, but he did clap it out.
Not for you, but it is for me because I'm the.
Yeah. Discord cucked us, but Audacity got our back. Okay,
perfect. Yeah. I'd like to see it's just like Jamie puts out like the Morse code, like lines of coconuts on the beach when he's like stranded on an island. It's the big SOS letters.
So in Jukai Forest, a dragon god had been forcefully reborn. The Night of Withering was terrorizing the peoples of the forest, and their god had been yanked back from whatever realm of death it knew to turn the tide against the invading Oni hordes.
He's just like, oh, you guys, the wrong time. Twins, Basil, twins.
The ritual had been successful, and together with his brother Ryusai, Jugen was able to push back the Oni hordes, at least for the time being. Again, we'll get into another possible explanation of where the Oni came from, but for now, the forest is clear. When the dust had settled, however, Jugen could feel something was off. The world had changed when she was gone. The barrier between the spirit world and mortal world was no longer there. Okagachi was no longer there. And she could no longer feel a spiritual connection to Kamigawa. She was just a dragon. She wasn't really a dragon kami.
Okay.
3 of her 4 siblings were dead. And now that she had returned, she barely felt alive. She knew that Kamigawa had moved on without her, and to be truly reborn, she'd have to go all in. She left Jukai on a journey to collect the essences of her fallen siblings and place them all within a single egg. Then she and her last living relative, Ryusai, both placed themselves in the egg and fell into a deep sleep. The egg was sealed and placed within the oldest and tallest tree within Jukai Forest, a tree known as Bosaiju. For 50 years, the egg lay dormant, nurtured by the energy of Bosaiju, and the stewards set in place to protect it until finally 5 dragons emerged, fully reincarnated.
Whoa.
So we got new dragons, y'all. We went through the pictures last time. We'll do the same thing this time. So still one for each color. The first one up, art by Chris Ron, is known as Ao the Dawn Sky. I think this dragon is so cool as the white dragon because, as Jamie and Peter will notice, and the listeners will hopefully hear when I'm done this sentence, it's not very white. It's actually quite dark, but it's called the Dawn Sky, and the other one was the Rising Star, so kind of like the Dawn Star maybe. Whereas like dawn is actually very like dark, right? Like at dawn, there's kind of this thin line of light along the horizon, and this dragon just has this like line of golden light like running down its side, its scales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very much the red eyes black dragon to the blue eyes white dragon. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks a lot more Asian, I guess, than the last ones did, because the last series of dragons were all very kind of pointy and abstract looking, and that one straight up just looks like a Chinese dragon, like kind of like a catfish.
Were they?
I think I remember some of them were kind of very ferocious and odd looking, were they not?
Jodai was. I found they all looked pretty Asian. You're the visual guy, so I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you to look these things up after the show. But
What does that
I
mean,
don't remember.
really?
Yeah, maybe
What
it
does
was that
mean?
weird dream I had.
What does that mean, really, though? I think this one looks like long, stringy. He's got
it's like a big spaghetti.
Yeah,
Big spaghetti. It looks more Italian than anything.
he kind of does look Italian. He looks like a really thick spagoot.
Hey, it's me. Hey, yo, the Dawn Sky.
I don't feel like cooking tonight. Do you want to go for Chinese dragon or Italian dragon? What do you want to order in?
With Ao, you can have both. You guys may also notice Ao in a lot of creation myths that we've covered in fantasy is usually the creator, like the progenitor god in Diablo, I believe it was, or like some variation near 2. In D&D it was. Ao is often considered the creation. I don't know why they went with that for the white dragon specifically, but they did, I guess. Thought it was interesting. Next up is Kyrie, the Swirling Sky, who is also a very cool design. I have to say, I went through a lot of art researching these because I'm doing a Magic the Gathering episode. I'm going to spend a lot of time just looking at pretty pictures. The Neon Dynasty art, which these are the Neon Dynasty set, talking about the older times, but the Neon Dynasty art that I'm going to show some of you guys, or you two guys next time, and the Patreon listeners, I'll provide the links to the art on the next episode, is some of the best Magic art I've ever seen, which is really saying something because it's
holy shit,
always fantastic. But oh man, some of it is so cool.
This is the blue dragon. Clearly, it's very cool looking.
Yeah, blue dragon. Surprisingly, not very water affiliated. It is in the clouds, which is water, obviously, but it kind of has like a blue lightning rippling around itself.
It reminds me of like when Goku's running to go and meet his master for the first time on that really long cloud road. He goes to see on the little planet. It looks like that area. There's just clouds everywhere where he is, and then he's like poking his head out, and there's like a blue lightning bolt going around. And he's long and skinny, like he's not as he's the spaghettini if the other guy's the spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. You think you've seen Spaghettini? Why don't you just get ready for Junji, the Midnight Sky? So obviously the black aligned dragon.
This one's really fucking cool. It's got raver techno antlers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice Fortnite skin.
Nice blossoming pink flowers all around it. Was the only picture I couldn't find a high res artwork for, so that's why the edges are weirdly cropped, I guess. But next up, Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, which I'll let you guys guess which one. Even the listeners at home, I'll let you guys guess which color, red or green, the Blazing Sky is associated with.
This one's very obvious looking. It's cool, but I guess it's a little less creative than the previous ones as far as being spoilers if you haven't guessed by now. It's the red aspected one. It looks like a very long lion with a mane of fire. Very cool, but very straightforward.
It's like right.
Yeah, I mean, they're all done by different artists, right? So I think I stopped giving credits after the first one. The first one, AO, is by Chris Ron. Kyrie's by Tyler Jacobson. Junji is by Chase Stone. And this one, Atsushi the Blazing Sky, is by Victor Adam Minguez.
It looks like it has little windows on the side of them. Like there might be passengers in there, like that one nerdy kid on the Christmas Polar Express or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Right on the Magic Dragon. And then this one, which was, which is Kura the Boundless Sky, which was my least favorite art when I first saw it. And then the more time I spent looking at these, I think it might be my favorite one. There's just something about the head of this, which is, it kind of has these like ephemeral, like ghostly moose antlers, I guess.
Yeah.
With kind of this green, but it's like the way the antlers are intertwined, it almost looks like a real animal where it has like fake eye spots, where it's like hard to spot where its actual eyes are, which a lot of animals have as a defense mechanism, right? And I just, the more time I spent looking at this picture, the more time I was just like kind of a little bit blown away.
It reminds me of something so specific that I'm going to post in chat. When I was a kid, we used to play marbles on the playground, and you would bet like whoever could get the marble. It's basically like golf, but you're like flicking a marble, right? And whoever got it in the least amount of shots would win the other person marble. And I had a backpack where I just like would get more and more marbles. And it reminds me of the Ninja Turtles marbles. I don't know why. The color scheme.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
No, 5 cents for what? Like fucking 20? Jesus Christ.
So, inflation, am I right? So for the listeners at home, if we're not doing a good job describing these things to you and you're not a Patreon subscriber, then just imagine if a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle marble was a dragon. That's what this one looks like. So,
that helps, right? I've been so good on the last one, and this time I'm not helping at all.
So there is a saga. So these are all individual cards with the legendary rule. Obviously, there is a saga card tied to this one, which is called the Dragon Kami Reborn. The art by the art's by Alex Bronwyn, and I mean this art with kind of all of them rising out of. I forget the name of the tree, Bosujai, something like that. Boseiju. They're all kind of rising out of the egg cracked at the base of Boseiju, and the oldest tree in the Jukai forest. And it's a very cool, very, very cool artwork. Look it up. It is the Dragon Kami Reborn by Alex. So,
wait, who's the middle one? Sorry, who's the middle one out of that? Did we pass over the middle one already?
The middle one is the Boundless Sky. No, that's Kura, the Boundless Sky. You can see her ghostly antlers, and the reason Jamie asked is because it almost looks kind of rainbowy, is what I'm going to guess. It doesn't necessarily look green. It kind of looks like all of them combined. You guys will remember it was the green dragon Jugen who collected all their souls and put them back into the egg. So I like to think that she got a little extra flair for doing that work and for kind of coming up with the plan. Okay. But the in-depth artwork by Donato Giancola, who I also forgot to credit, for her actual card work, Kura's actual card work, also pretty technicolor. Like you can see the different, like the yellow, the green, the blue, and then the red, and kind of the black and there, in that artwork as well. So while the dragons had slept beneath the old Ginso tree, Kamigawa was flourishing in what would be known as the Age of Enlightenment. So it turns out that forcefully imposing, a foreign government body forcefully imposing a ruler on a new state can work. It did in Kamigawa, so why not here? It turns out not relying on man to decide who to lead, but letting God can really solve a lot of problems. With the Imperials being chosen by Kyodai, humanity was off to the races producing art and not killing. The sign of a progressive society, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Yep.
Minamo Academy, which was destroyed in the Kami War, was rebuilt. Laws about ethics and fair treatment for all were written. So, things are looking good. Years...
Hey, rules are made to be broken, baby. Let's go.
Laws are rules, I guess. You gotta admit. So years merged to decades, merged to centuries, and things remained largely peaceful, but some lingering effects of the Kami War persisted. As the years passed...
I'm sorry, dude. I'm so distracted. Can you play marbles today with people? Can you just go and shoot marbles and bet with each other?
Dude. Or go to the dark. Go to the park, dude. Why not?
Nobody's going to want to bet marbles. I'm going to steal some kids' marbles if I do this, but...
You have to bring marbles for everyone. You have to get people hooked. first.
Oh, and then they buy their own
And then-
marbles. Then I win their marbles. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you play keeps.
Okay, sorry. And those 5-cent marbles are probably worth a lot. I'm sorry to cut you off. I needed to get that out.
I was good friends with a kid named Matt who used to love playing keeps and marbles, and anytime he'd lose, he was a very big kid. Anytime he'd lose, he'd scream, run over, grab all the marbles, and just run away.
I remember winning a ball bearing, dude, that was the size of my childhood fist. And like the bus ride home, like it was basically gambling, right? Because with skill.
It's skill.
Yeah,
skill game. Yeah.
I won something for keeps. And I remember going home like I didn't own this when I left school, like for school today, but now this is mine. And then it got me kind of hooked on that kind of thing, I think.
Jamie learns the value of hard work by getting a free ball bearing. Like,
yeah. And that's one of the things.
Made him the man he is today.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I'm good at too. It's like random skill shots that shouldn't, like, it's never useful in real life, but for only for marbles or for darts and stuff like that. Like I'm good at that stuff. So
when you have your own business, you know, like how like a businessman will have like his first signed dollar in a frame, like up in the office. Like Jamie's just got a framed filthy ball bearing, just like taught me everything I knew. Like above a degree, which is just like
some kid probably nicked it from his dad's shop too, because like you can't buy that big of a ball bearing at like the dollar store where you get marbles, you know, like anyways.
Playing for keeps, as humans do. The mortal inhabitants of Kamigawa did notice, with the years passing, that the number of kami on the mortal plane was increasing, and at first, no one could really explain why. A lot of them were friendly. Some of them were angry, or even enraged to the point of causing harm to humans. So it seems like things are going badly, and for once, it's not the humans' fault. Kami are just showing up and kind of being all pissed off.
We're not going to find out that there's like a toxic waste pipeline that goes into the spirit world or whatever. We're like, that's why things are so good, where it's just like, yeah, we don't need to deal with our trash anymore.
we kind of are, but not yet. That's not
okay. Nice call, Pete.
So having spent their lives in service to the kami and maintaining the peace between mortals and spirits, the monks of the Order of Jukai sent out to investigate. So there's this order of monks called the Order of Jukai who live in Jukai Forest, and they're like, hey, there's these random kami attacks kind of springing up around Kamigawa. Nobody really knows why, so we'll go investigate. Troublingly, they found that these kami were not coming to the mortal plane on their own, but instead were being ejected out of their home. Strange rifts had appeared throughout Kamigawa, and from these shimmering portals, kami were occasionally tossed out of the spirit world to find themselves in the mortal plane without themselves understanding why. So usually why they're angry, and again, like, a lot of the kami that we've talked about so far are very intelligent, very sapient. It does seem like with a lot of Japanese myth and also the lore here, a lot of them are probably just like, it's a river spirit. It's going to act like a river. You know what I mean? Or this is the spirit of a grasshopper. It's just going to be like a grasshopper when it gets here. It's not necessarily going to be capable of complex speech.
Right. It's like bringing it back to the Ninja Turtles, I'd like to imagine there's just like a business kami, like reading a newspaper in front of its face, and then just like drops through an open manhole and then is ejected into the material plane.
Yeah, exactly. Ejected into the streets of Manhattan. You have a dog shitting on pavement. You got like people fucking screaming at each other, horns honking. You have Times Square fucking blinding you. Like, it could be distressing for anybody.
And it's just trying to act like a river in the middle of Times Square.
To be a river in the middle of Times Square. So without Okagachi, the barrier between worlds, who was destroyed at the end of the Kami War, around, it seemed like the mortal and spirit realms were drifting together and were destined to eventually overlap. The monks brought their findings to Eiganjo Castle, and the Imperials reached out to the Minamo Academy to try and find a solution to the problem. Their spots were designated mergings, where the realms are merging, where the barriers between Kami and mortal worlds weakened. These places were powerful and dangerous. They were places where the very structures of reality were laid bare, like bad wiring in an old house.
Okay.
So you literally just be walking along, and then suddenly you just see like tesseracts forming, at a place where reality was slowly unwinding itself.
Okay.
Pretty dangerous.
You just see like the spirit of a podcast host, and all they're able to do is read a wiki and not speak with any type of any original thought and stuff like that. Yes. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear original thought. Trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, exactly.
So I shared some card art with you guys from Touch the Spirit Realm. The art is by Marta Nail.
Very cool.
You guys want to take a crack at describing it for the listeners?
Jibo, you want a little redemption here?
All right, yeah. So background, I'll paint the background first. A bunch of like heavenly looking cubes, like with greens and purples, and like they're like big old like cubes, like in Reboot coming on down. And then in the front, there's like, it looks like some type of angel, and she's like falling backwards with her hand up in the air. She looks like really limp and like the life is
very
her.
To me, it's very like Victorian era woman faint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, onto the chaise lounge, like
lots of golds in the dress, in the wings as well. She has wings, and then her hands are pointing out, and she has a mask, and her mask is like looks like the eyes are closed and the mouth is in like a loose frown. Well, that's the best it could do. It was okay.
Yeah, and I mean the kind of fray, the hems of her like dress and sashes are like
pixelated.
Yeah, they seem to be like becoming unreal, right? Like she seems to be like tessellating in a way that's going to mean this woman probably didn't exist for much longer.
The captain's Frenchizing her, basically.
Those cubes are supposed to be tesseracts, but obviously I can't see what a tesseract looks like with my dumb eyes. Okay,
yeah, you're dumb.
Got it.
It's because I actually pasted the 2D image, not the 3D image. If I pasted the 3D image, you would be able to see the 4D because we can see one up from a computer.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's my bad. So after studying these mergings for some time, the scholars of Kamigawa developed technology to stabilize them and at least hold them in one place. So if it appeared somewhere, they could kind of pin it there so it wouldn't kind of wander around and just like be a roving whirlpool that would spit out monster gods every now and then.
Okay, it's like a cheap robot vacuum. They put up low moldings everywhere, so the Tesseracts turn left for eternity, basically.
Exactly.
I can tell you just got a new vacuum.
Mine can see. Okay, it doesn't bump into nearly as much.
So they built these merge gates, as they would come to be known, wherever they found the veil weakening. So they found this way to stabilize them by building these gates. They plopped these gates down on top of it. Once a merge gate was established, the Order of Jukai, those monks who I mentioned earlier, would assign personnel monks to it. So that when a kami wandered through, was taking a shit, reading its newspaper, getting ready for its first meeting of the day, and, before getting sucked into the toilet and waking up with Shredder in the gang, there's someone there to greet them, basically. Someone there to just be like, hey, like, it's cool. You're not the first.
It's like Men in Black, basically, where it's like immigration for demons, basically.
Exactly. The Order of Jukai is just like border control agents, or just frisking the
card there, did ya? Oh, well, we got a pamphlet. You just go through the other end of this Scooby-Doo door, yeah, and then you come right back out the other side.
Where am I? Where are the beautiful colors of the Technicolor rainbow? Okay,
are you bringing any bags of blood with you today?
Blood? I forgot my blood. Should I have brought it?
You look real disoriented. You got lemonade in the fridge here. Just grab one, sit down, relax. Zip up your pants, though. I see you were doing some business when you got teleported over.
We have lemonade in the spirit world, too. And so it went, really, for a long time. The first rift secured, the Kami had a way of joining a unified Kamigawa peacefully. There doesn't seem to be a way for a lot of these Kami to go back. It seems like once they're here, for whatever reason, their tie to the spirit world is broken, and they're kind of just stuck in the Utsuchiyo, the mortal plane. Power, for a long time, is concentrated solely in the hands of the Imperials. Those powerful elites hand-chosen to rule Kamigawa, even as more Kami drift across the ethereal border to set up their own homes here.
Okay.
Pete, you were blaspheming? Did I miss something while I was reading my script?
I was listening to you, and Jamie on Push to Talk just absolutely just disappeared an entire pickled spicy asparagus.
I tried to get away. Did I pick up?
No, like I couldn't hear you chewing, but
just
it was
just visual.
Like,
Describe it for the listeners.
You want? I got one.
The length of his hand in one bite, just whoop. And I was just
like a Victorian woman fainting on the couch, high on cocaine with the vapors. Jamie's eating
spicy asparagus.
No, it's Mike's spicy beans. Exactly, they're so good in seizures, and I love that at the end. and I wanted to not pick up and not be like a distraction to the show or whatever. But
don't worry,
I guess deep throating a bean on camera kind of
Because I knew you were trying to be subtle, but it's like that guy who like shotguns hot dogs.
Harvey Wood shoots a good dog.
Harvey Wood shoots a good dog.
Yeah. Anyway.
Subscribe to our Patreon for Jamie Deep Throating Beans, baby.
We gotta get this camera aspect going soon, so everyone can get this. You can pay $5.
Everyone home can have it.
Yeah.
So this brings us right up from the Age of Enlightenment to what will simply be known as the Modern Age. As expected with a modern age, comes some modern thinking about systems of government. The Imperials had long ruled by virtue of being appointed by God, Kyodai, one of the most powerful beings, if not the most powerful being on Kamigawa. With the modern age came technology to take some of that power back. We got to take the power back.
Yep.
For a long time, what we'd call magic, you boys and I, the boys would call magic, came from bonds one would form with the kami. So if you wanted to be a wizard on Kamigawa, magic, it seemed, came from the spirit realm and could only be drawn forth by humans using kami as conduits.
Cool.
So you had to kind of get a kami on your side for your goal if you wanted to pull magic and be a wizard.
So ice would be my little ghost wolf that would help me shoot little icicles out of my hands or something.
Why? It would let you. Ice would let you widen your esophagus so that you could deep throat many beans at a time.
That's not like a wolf trait.
Have you ever seen a husky scarf something down that it's not supposed to be eating?
Fair enough. She once ate a whole raw chicken. And every time
they just tilt their head back and they're like, oh.
Yeah. Every time I get close to her in the field, she would just pick it up and bring the chicken carcass to the other side of the field. So I'm just running back and forth, and my dog is just doing laps, eating an entire chicken.
Yeah, eating laps.
Shit.
Outpacing you enough to eat a chicken during breaks. So.
Yeah. No diarrhea. Actually, it was a very strong stomach apparently because I couldn't get the same a whole raw chicken. I'd be out for a little while.
Maybe that if she was your kami familiar, it would give you just the ability to actually digest an entire raw.
Finally, I've tried this so many times and it never goes well.
I made a pact with a demon to do this.
Finally, I don't got to get sick anymore. I'm so tired of having to call in sick to work 3-4 times a week because of all that chicken that I ate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing it either way, but at least
Never learned to cook. Made a deal with the devil just so he could eat raw.
So, two of the biggest inventions of the modern era. One of them are these things known as enhancers, which allow a user to increase the flow of magic from the spirit world. So, if you have an enhancer and a deal with a kami, you can become a very powerful wizard.
What are enhancers? Are those the stones you buy at those shops that are these open up your cores and stuff, or what's an enhancer?
Yeah, it's it's a copper bracelet with two woven copper bracelet with 2 balls at either end that you wear on your wrist, and it aligns your chakras.
Okay,
right,
got it.
I have a side story. I have a friend of mine who is going to get married for, I think it was his girlfriend's birthday or something. Or
he's getting married for his girlfriend's birth? What a nice present.
Yeah, but I was talking to one of her friends who was absolutely one of these Reiki crystal healer girls or whatever, and she was like, I got you this kind of crystal, and don't worry, I didn't want to bother you. You don't need to recharge this one. And I could not help myself but laughing at her when I heard that.
You know what?
It's like the new fire extinguisher the new smoke detectors. It's just got a 10-year battery, that Reiki crystal.
Piece of shit, yeah.
What about the JO crystals that you go hang out with the boys to recharge them? You ever see those?
No.
Crystals? Yeah, I was gonna say with your JO buddies.
Yeah, it's like a meme on the internet where you people have crystals and they go and they jerk off with their friends to recharge them, and it fulfills their sexual energy. But
I mean, there's a very small and perpetually unsuccessful YouTube channel that I love called The Smut Cave. Okay. And I remember distinctly he has a video about JO buddies, which are just guys that want to jerk off. And I remember a bunch of the other Craigslist offers are ridiculous. And one of them was just like, we can come over when my wife and my kids are away. We can JO and you can take home a bunch of imitation crab meat. It's perfectly fine. We just bought too much.
I don't mind imitation crab meat, but in that context, I really don't want imitation.
There's
crab
easier
meat.
ways to get it.
It's very frank. It's very frank from It's Always Sunny. How like I think they go to an orgy 2 or 3 times in that series, and every time there's a buffet, and he says the only reason he goes to orgies is for the buffet. So you get this jack off bracelet. It's known as an enhancer. It helps you channel energy.
J.O. It's a children's show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get this James O bracelet. Lets you increases the flow of magic from the spirit world. The other major invention of the modern era is a device invented by a group of eggheads studying the merge gates, which allowed them to draw energy without a Kami channel. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. We had magic. It was limited by Kami and also limited by how much you could draw. And we have people who are like, we don't need Kami anymore. And also we can draw a whole lot more.
They're automating out the need for demons, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the inventors of these things, the inventors of the enhancer was a group of artists who were just trying to create art and ended up accidentally creating a Tesla coil or something. I don't know.
I'll let you know when that happens on the show, folks.
Something that violated the second law of thermodynamics, basically. And a group of scientists who invented the no need for Kami by just studying the merge gates. They weren't working together. They weren't trying to do these things, but their inventions would form the basis for basically all future technological developments and would forever alter the landscape of Kamigawa. It's from this point right here that we're going to end up in Neon Dynasty eventually.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
So I got my demon run vacuum here, but Pete's got one that just runs on its own. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
plug yours into the wall. The wall of your house, also known as the Kami of the house.
Yeah, well, actually, this one runs on gasoline. But Montreal, they're trying to get us to switch over to electric
green
vacuums.
those goddamn hippies.
You can charge them on.
I hate vacuum. It's so tiring. Every time I'm done all those fumes, I gotta just take a nap.
Vacuum with the pulmotor like it's a lawnmower.
So there are those in Kamigawa, of course, who view change and progress as bad and scary. The ruling elite, the Imperials, were desperately trying to control the flow of this new technology and limit its use, all in the name of stability.
Wow, I can't believe the elites are the people who are resistant to change.
I mean, so the Order of Jukai, on the other hand, viewed the use of magic as reckless and claimed it had the potential to damage the very fabrics of reality, which, yeah, they're probably right.
It's visibly been doing that, from what I understand.
This episode really helped me identify my biases when it comes to conservative values, where I'm like, I read the first part about how the Imperials reacted. I was like, those fucking elites, dude. Resisting progress. Those sons of bitches try to keep us down. Then I read like the Order of Jukai part. I was like, they're so fucking right. Why are we just fucking full steam ahead with progress? We're not even thinking about the consequences. Like, I was so fully on both sides, and I was like, or like against one and or the other, and I was like, wait, they're on the same side though. I don't know. How did I end up here? So I had a real come to Newt Gingrich moment when I was writing this episode. So the Kami are generally as confused as humans about it all. Some are resistant to the way humans seem to be developing these new technologies. They're using our natural resources. It's the Mr. Burns tunneling under the school to take their natural oil reserves.
Oh, Burns slant drilling, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Some Kami are very excited for what humans might be capable of. Some are actually like, yeah, let's go to the fucking future. We'll see what these guys can do. No problem. They seem to be doing more with the spirit energy than we would, for good or bad. Let's find.
I can't go home, and the lady at immigration was very nice to me, so I wouldn't mind some future bullshit since I'm stuck here. I want 2 JO bracelets, baby. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm a man on the go. I'm a mover and a shaker. I don't have time to jack off with one hand. Come on.
Mover and a shaker.
So this finally brings us to the end of the modern era, which is just before present day, because we're in the future.
Okay, it's the distant future of 2002 in Kamigawa now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So we're at the end of the modern era. We're stepping into Neon Dynasty finally. We're going to set the stage for Neon Dynasty, and then, like I said, I'll probably do a Neon Dynasty episode at some point in the near future. Neon Dynasty.
I'd wager it'd probably be in 3 weeks if I were a betting man.
Did I say next week? I meant.
No. It says you said at some point in the future. I'm like, it's got to be Ethan's next episode.
I mean, maybe. Probably. There is like I said, a Warhammer 40k Magic the Gathering crossover, which I might want to
that's true.
of, but we'll see.
That is bait.
So in present day, Utsuchiyo, the Realm of Mortals, is very different from how we left it on the last episode. It's a technology-driven world of hot cars, leather bars, and movie stars.
Oh, Hall & Oates. Love it.
And cyberpunk ninjas, technological augmentations, also with plenty of kami and spirits roaming around and bona fide magic, of course, TM. So we do kind of have this cyberpunk future city at some point for anyone who doesn't.
Sounds a lot like Shadowrun from the 45 minutes I spent playing one of those games.
Cool. Yeah, a lot like Shadowrun, a lot like Cyberpunk in a lot of ways too. I think it's pretty undeniable that the people who were the very talented artists who were working on Neon Dynasty when it was coming out, and probably the producers and executives who decided this was going to be the next set to be released, were probably capitalizing on Cyberpunk's popularity at the time, right? Like I think it's almost impossible to say in the capitalist landscape that we live in that it wasn't that at all. That said, like I said before, some of the art is some of the coolest art I've seen out of Magic the Gathering. I do really like the cyberpunk aesthetic, which for anyone who doesn't know, I guess it's like very like not too distant future, maybe 50-year future kind of thing, where there are a lot of improvements, but also pretty dystopian in that it's these mega cities. There's very little like nature anymore that you typically see in these fictions, with usually corporate factions vying for control or something.
A lot of flashing neon lights and escapism too. And
exactly. Yeah, a lot of virtual reality. You can kind of become the person you want to be with cybernetic augmentation and whatever. And everybody gets plastic surgery, and like a lot of people can live a lot longer than normal because technology.
Depending on how rich you are.
People who don't have jack-off bracelets, the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, a jack-off bracelet in every home. It's the credo.
The JO crystal, it was like a Craigslist meme thing that took off. I shared it with you guys so we can all catch up afterwards. But anyway.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
I will add it to the end of the script for the patrons so that they can get a picture of the charge up in JO 38 Houston Craigslist ad.
Great. Okay.
So the city of Tawashi near Iganjo Castle has spread far and wide, absorbing other states within its sprawl. Species of all kinds. Sorry?
It's a GTA. It's a greater Tawashi area. It's absorbed a bunch of Ajax. It's just absorbed all the suburbs.
I mean, all of them, yeah.
GTA means Grand Theft Auto to most people, but GTA is a big area in Canada for most of us. Yeah.
The Greater Toronto area is basically the part of the country that decides who is going to be prime minister.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many people there.
Yeah.
So the city of Tawashi near Iganjo, it's spread far and wide, absorbing other states. Species of all kinds, moonfolk, humans, Nezumi, and more. I was saying humans pretty much all episode. There are other ones which we talked about in our last episode, but they were there, more in the background. It was more focused on humans. But they're all living together now. They coexist like the religious symbols on the back of a Prius. The city grew across the... I thought of you when I wrote that joke, Pete. The city grew across the Araba.
My dad has that fucking sticker.
Does he? Oh, good.
Yeah, he does.
Shout out to Dad O'Donoghue. Across the Araba, the ruined wasteland once destroyed by the Kami during the Kami War and was built as solid structure essentially now. So it really is like the symbolism of like reclaiming what was once lost 1,200 years ago. Okay. The city reached all the way to Jukai Forest. So I don't know if you guys remember, I sent you guys a map the last time, which kind of showed like the different colors as like vertical stripes.
Yeah, it was kind of
like
abstract though, right?
Yeah, it was sort of like mirrored diagonally. It does, and I did say like no one has ever been east of Jukai. Now it really seems like, as I was kind of reading this, it seems like every direction is east if you go far enough. And it does seem like the city at some point does get surrounded by the forest at some point. So it's trying to expand, and eventually on all sides it ends up surrounded. I will send you guys another picture, which does not depict that at all. But from the last picture that I sent you guys to this one, it's very, very similar. But this is where we've come to.
Really wish I'd looked at that guy who wants to jack off and recharge that crystal prior to this one, because that shocked me. That's
very distracting.
I was like, whoa.
It gives him confidence at work, home, and social situations, etc. when he has a charged crystal, man. You can't. It's for him and his bros.
I like his barbed wire bicep tattoo too.
I pulled it up in the first picture on the meme, was just a picture of the streamer Germa. Like they put him next. You probably guys don't know who it is, but somebody redid the meme and just made it as if a famous streamer was a pervert, so which is great.
Like, yeah. A famous streamer was a pervert. Yeah, as it.
Imagine. Yeah. The city reaches all the way to Jukai Forest, and it seems like they're out of places to build. So I don't know if it like reaches to Jukai Forest on one side, the sea on the other side, the mountains on the other side, but like you can expand pretty easily into forests. Harder to build on water. It's harder to build in mountains.
Yeah.
And there, I mean, they find a source of fuel, or a source to fuel its growth, right? In the wood they chop down. It continues to devour the landscape. Trees are reaped like wheat to drive the construction of new buildings, and many kami who had taken up residence in the forest to remain apart from city life were being driven out. Now, they fought back with protests and civil disobedience in the form of emerging from beneath the ground to destroy new buildings and curse the builders who made them. Just typical Antifa shit. The builders act just like the old industries of today would and set water cannons and attack dogs on the residents. So they continue absolutely ravaging the beautiful ancestral homes of those who'd lived there for centuries, all in the name of another high-rise condo. The emperor, not acting like politicians of today, seeing that a fragile peace held for close to a millennia was now close to shattering, intervened. He brokers an agreement that would halt progress into the forest, which meant the kami no longer needed to attack. The builders could continue to settle any land already ceded with one exception. The city, the city that had grown around Bosaiju, the oldest and tallest tree in Kamigawa, which had once incubated dragons, not be touched. Yeah. So they had expanded into Jukai Forest past that ancient tree, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And they said, like, we're not going to take any more land, and you guys can't fuck with this, beautiful ancestral tree that's older than anything else on the plain. It's a heritage site.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to turn it into a national park, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, unable to expand outward, the only directions left were up and down. A sprawling undercity was developed, and vertiginous towers sprang up throughout the city. I'm going to end us with a quote from Emily Tang, who did a lot of the legwork on this episode.
London's like that. They went down because it couldn't go up anymore because of like firefighting laws or something. A lot of underground in London. A lot of like crazy, like super deep, like rich people, they build down. And they have like pool, like car garage, like crazy shit. But
I did not know that. That's
wild. Didn't know that?
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So a quote. Unable to expand outward, Towashi was forced to grow upwards instead. Skyscrapers filled the city, and Bosaiju was soon lost within the skyline. But then the millennia-old tree, which had lain quiet for so long, began to grow once again. It grew so large and so tall that it came to eclipse even the tallest structures surrounding it. Builders attempted to match its height, but for every new tallest structure constructed, Bosaiju grew even more. Bosaiju's message was clear. The city might be standing on this ground now, but the forest refused to let anyone forget who had been there first. Today, Bosaiju is the largest structure in Towashi, its spreading branches casting a near permanent shadow over much of the city.
Holy shit.
And if you guys look at that picture, you guys can see Bosaiju rearing its head over the city in the picture that I showed.
Oh yeah, it's right in the middle.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's our show. That's the lead up into Neon Dynasty. Like I said, there's a lot of stories with the set in actual Neon Dynasty, which I don't know if I'll cover them all. I don't know which ones I'll cover. I don't know if it'll be a multi-parter. I don't know. I haven't decided any of that yet. I have 3 weeks to decide, or potentially 6 weeks if I end up doing the MTG Warhammer 40k crossover in the intervening. But yeah, that's been our show. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Sources for all the stories that I've told you guys today or read from today. Wow, that is a crazy picture of a London underground mansion.
London mega basement. If you're curious and Googling, there's a bunch of them. People are against them and stuff. There's documentaries. It's very cool.
So sources for this episode are listed in the description. If you like the episode, like I said, let us know, because I do plan to do some follow-ups, but your guys' reaction will probably inform how many follow-ups that I do. And usually that means if one person tells me that they liked it, I'll go ahead and do 10 more episodes, as you guys know. I've been your host. I'd love to do a follow-up episode, so please let me know. You guys can reach us on Discord. You guys can reach us on Instagram, right, Pete? What's going on Instagram these days?
At LoreBros Podcast. I'm a week behind, but otherwise, you can always DM us. I know that we had somebody new message us, and then I sent her the link to the Discord. She popped in, dropped some music, dropped some suggestions, and then vanished, which I always appreciate. It's just fresh ideas, and thank you, and I hope you're still listening.
I mean, I'm a big lurker in places. When I do watch Twitch, I don't chat, but I will read chat. I lurk. I mean, that's Discord channels too. I go in, I steal their memes, I take it to my meme channels.
I noticed that you're always aware of what I've posted, but so rarely respond in like group settings. And I'm like, I'll say something. You're like, oh, I saw that. I'm like, did you? I didn't see you respond. Oh, I guess you're always watching.
No fucking emote? How dare you?
Yeah. Okay.
I hate texting. This conversation came up at work today where everyone's like, when we get in touch with testers who we need to staff our projects, basically. We have like a 3 contact rule where we send them an email. If they don't respond to the email, we text them. And then if they don't respond to the text, we try calling them. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh man, I hate calling. I'm like, man, I send out a mass text and then almost call everybody right away because I just want to talk on the phone. Like it's easier for me.
Yeah.
I hate text-based communication. So Discord is scary to me. I do my best to be as present on there as possible. And links to that are in the description for this episode.
Also relevant to our artwork, we do have, at present, a day locked in, Montreal Comic-Con, July 9th, 2022. Come say hi. We will be there. Also, what's going to be very cool is, I believe the guys at my publisher have a panel to do. So we will basically have the run of the place for an hour or two in the middle of the day if you are only interested in Lore Boys and Lore Boys accessories. None of that other shit involving other people, which is great. So yeah. Also, we have a merch store as well. It is, what is it? Spring.com.
The link is in the description. Click the button, click the shiny blue button that says merch in the description.
Yeah.
And it'll take you right there, so you don't even need to worry about it. Jamie, anything you want to plug?
No. Yeah, I booked a dog sitter, so I'll actually be at this one. I know Eric missed me at the last gathering, but if you guys get there, we'll be there. We'll be hanging out.
I feel like it wasn't Discord. A dog issue. I feel like you were sick.
No, my dog was sick.
He was sick for something else.
Your
Ice
dog
was sick in October. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
My dog was sick.
So now you're gonna poison your dog and just leave it with the dog sitter.
No, I'll be happy to go and meet everybody. So we'll do that. July 9th. Get in the Discord. I hang out there. Sometimes go and chat. Hondolo and I were playing a game, Mother Gunship, together a couple weeks ago. Let's go on to the Discord. That's the best place to hang out.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's also the best place to get like new information about us because if something happens regarding Comic-Con, again, like COVID and Quebec are hard to separate. So if something happens, if it doesn't happen, as we're recording, you're gonna find out on Discord any important updates, basically. So that's the best place to be.
Yeah, right now plans are Montreal Comic-Con in July, and then World Tour shortly after. But dates to be.
And then if you're
we're renting a Winnebago, baby. Let's do it.
You're like, I want to see more pics.
I'd catch you.
If you're like, I want to see more pics of JO crystals or mega basements, or I want to go to your mega basement to charge your JO crystal, then Discord's the best way to get a handle of us. So you can just
the JO crystals 3 floors underground.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll talk about these things, like the JO Crystal guy and the London Mega Basement, and sometimes we just post them without context on recording day in the Discord and let people just speculate,
I'll do one of those now, actually. That sounds like fun. I'll just do the basement.
Speaking of things that we post and let people speculate on, if you guys like the show, a great way to do so is reviews, but another great way to support us is via Patreon. We do have a bunch of, what we call loser titles, which are titles which we thought might be good titles for the episode that we all go over after the show and then decided that they weren't, that we post on Patreon. There's usually a fun little guessing game from all the patrons trying to figure out what's what. So check out patreon.com/theloreboys if you're interested to learn more. There should be some previews there of those things. You also get bonus content. You'll get the scripts with all the images attached already, so you don't have to go dig through all the sources that I've posted and try and find them. And of course, if you guys don't trust Patreon, we do have Lore Boys Prime. We have an exciting week here in Lore Boys Prime. Obviously, we're going on a world tour, which I did say, but it's not for the Lore Boys. It's for friggin' Jamie, sideshow attraction extraordinaire. We need things for the man to deep throat, preferably just vegetables. We've all seen him deep throat a bean. Okay, it's been done.
Yeah, I'm watching my weight, so let's keep the vegetables, please.
Vegetables, please. Vegetables, please. Or
Ethan and I are renting a Winnebago. We're gonna be driving the Winnebago, and we're gonna have like that wooden cage on the hitch, big wooden wagon wheels that it's like, we'll drive them around the south. People can whip peanuts at them and shit. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
While he deep throats spicy beans, hot beans, and whatever else the patrons
Guys,
can
Matt and Steve's, we're not sponsored, but Matt and Steve's Spicy Beans, I gotta tell you, they're a Canadian company and make good beans.
Matt and Steve, crunch at us, guys. What are you thinking?
I would love it
biggest
if it was
fans.
like in the spirit of a freak show, but it was just like we set up a little apartment and it was like, behold the amazing human Caesar, and it was just like Jamie totally normal, just like mixing a modest drink.
Or
in a wooden cage on wagon wheels. Obviously.
Or am I just like sitting in a chair with my head straight up with like a bouquet of chicken wings and different pickled vegetables sticking out of my mouth?
And with a bouquet of pickles, excuse me, I think that constitutes a Lore Boys.
Lore Boys. Out.
I killed the second one too, I think.
Like the barbarian guy. Did you rescue the big, cute flying animal?
Yes, I unlocked fast travel. Yeah,
which is great. The game is quite easy if you have any kind of Souls experience, because I have beaten both bosses at this point on my second attempt.
To me, it feels like a Souls game when I'm tired after work. I don't really want to have to play at my peak best, but I still want to have that experience.
I want to be a 30-year-old and play a Souls game.
Yeah.